What's up with that evil look going on there?
I'm thinking, deep in thought.
Right? How you doing, my brother?
Good. Taking a break from being busy.
Right?
You know the feeling. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
You've been crazy busy in the studio. I've been crazy busy putting on concerts. It's been a busy week.
Well, actually, I've been wanting to be in the studio. I've been doing band business. We are out, every weekend we've been out. But I mean, I got home and it was like, okay, all the stuff had to be done yesterday and today. So now I got most of it behind me. I'm ready to jump into the studio, hopefully by tomorrow.
Nice, brother. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, quick shout out to Darren O'Brien. Happy birthday.
Darren O'Brien's birthday.
We appreciate you, all that you do for us. And I hope you have a blessed day. So, yeah, this last weekend, man, I killed myself trying to do back-to-back shows in 2 different markets. You wearing the JRG dub?
Yeah, Cora got it for all of us, just showing it off.
That's nice of her. All right. So, yeah, we did a back-to-back shows. They went off well. Aaron Watson. I'll tell you what, dude, for a Texas country singer, he did the best rendition of AC/DC's Thunderstruck I've heard outside of AC/DC. Nailed it. I was super impressed.
Nice.
Are you there, Robby?
I am there.
Am I freezing up?
You are.
No, I'm not. All right, let's get rocking and rolling. We've got Matt Starr here this evening. Matt has been with Ace Frehley. He's done things with Kevin Dubrow. He's been with the guys from Mr. Big, and right now he's here with us. What's happening, brother?
Yo, what's up, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend.
You're on the East Coast, right? East Coast time.
East Coast, yeah. I would say it's nice to hear people talking about how busy they are and talking about shows. I've heard of these things. That's with other people, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. You put people up on a stage and people come and sit.
Wow. Interesting. I like the idea.
Right. So you guys are still under some quarantines out there, correct, as far as shows go?
No, we're good. I actually saw Cheap Trick on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How was that, brother?
Well, it's Cheap Trick, so it's always great. They were fantastic. And it was out at the Foxwoods Casino, which is out in Connecticut. And it was cool, man. Yeah, my wife and I, it was like the first show that we've seen together in probably, I don't know. I think the last show we saw together was when I played with Ace Frehley in 2019 in December. So, a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow. So it's been a while since you've been out and doing that.
Been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. It has.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. So you're on the East Coast, that New York area? Is that where you're at?
Yeah. So my wife and I were both from Connecticut, New York, and we got 2 little kids. And so, kind of when this pandemic or last summer, my wife was like, all our family's in Connecticut. Your folks are there. So I think we should just get back there and just take advantage. It's kind of like this lost year where you can just sort of be anywhere. Yeah. And it's been great. It was definitely the right move,
Nice,
cool.
Man.
That's cool.
Nice. Yeah, we got lucky. We came out of the quarantines and mandates and everything a little earlier here in Texas than most of the country did.
Yeah.
And concerts have been popping off like crazy, and we've been fortunate, very blessed that way.
Good. And it must feel good. Have you noticed, I'm curious what it was like for you guys, and Robby, you guys have done some shows too. I thought when the concerts hit, people were going to be insane and like so ready, but I feel like people are like bears getting out of a cage. It's like, oh, it's good to be here. And everybody's really grateful, but it's not madness.
Right.
It's not like I've been waiting so long. It's like, okay, I'm here. Okay.
Our first shows were in Texas, and I tell you what, it was madness. I mean, they were like, there was 1,000 people there that sounded like 10,000 at both shows. It was about the same, and it was just after each song was like, wow, they're loud, and they were kind of rabid. I think most of the shows for us, we've done 8 shows now. They've been pretty much, that's what it's been. It's been pretty rabid. I think maybe at first they kind of come in and they're a little bit, but once the music starts, everybody just forgets it and lets loose.
Yeah.
And we're already back into that groove so much now. It's almost like you kind of almost forget. You know what I mean? We're back at it.
Right.
Other than when I'm on an airplane and I have to have a mask on for, however many hours, I'm like, oh God, the mask on the airplane. It's like, but I guess, hey, got to do what you got to do to play.
I thought ticket sales would be insane on the first couple of shows we've done here, and they were good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but nowhere near the numbers what we thought they would be. And I think people are still apprehensive about getting out and getting around large crowds, and that's kind of the feedback I've gotten. So shows that I figure would put 3, 4, 5,000 people out there are putting 1,000 people out there. So I think there's still a lot of apprehensive behavior going on.
Yeah.
But the people that are showing up, they're pretty rabid, right? I mean, the little clip you showed me seemed like they were pretty loud there, that clip.
Yeah, they got very loud at the concert. They got crazy. They're, rushing the stage, and we had a fight at one of the shows that broke out in the front of the stage, and you don't expect that as a Texas country show, but
you don't.
No, not really, brother, not really. I mean, it's all about brotherly love, so it kind of got out there, but we're looking forward to doing some more shows. I know we're talking with GARG Dub and with Foreigner about maybe doing a show out here in West Texas. And so I'm hoping the crowds come out in droves for that. All right, we got questions coming in already, guys. You got to wait. You got to wait for the show to get developed. You can't just say what brand of drums does Matt play, Matt.
Well, we were saving that that was the big reveal at the end.
That was the huge reveal. So what brand do you play, my brother?
I play Ludwig, and always have. Yeah, like Alex Van Halen, Eric Carr, Joey Kramer from Aerosmith, Bunny Carlos. Those are my original guys, and they played Ludwig. So I said, okay, I'll check out Ludwig. And then over the years, I tried other ones, and I'm like, no, I think I like Ludwig the best. And then of course Bonham and all that stuff. So yeah,
good company.
Good enough for Bonham, good enough for anybody else.
That's how I figure. Yeah.
Right. So let's go back a little ways, my brother. We won't reveal your birth date, but we'll go back a little ways, and you're about the same register as Robby and I as far as the age demographic goes. So, was there a lot of music going on at home? Were your parents in the arts? What was the home life growing up as a kid?
No, there wasn't much music. I mean, I remember the turntable. My parents would stack. They'd have the record player that automatically would play the next one.
Cool.
So there'd be like an inch of records, which now as a vinyl guy, I'm like, you can't do that.
Scratches.
Right.
But not a lot of music in the house. I mean, I think the normal amount, but nobody was a musician or anything. Dale, what's up? So yeah, I got bit by the kiss bug when I was 8. Had Scott Gabala was our neighbor up the street, and he was a few years older. So first record I heard up there was Cheap Trick Live at Budokan.
Nice.
And then Kiss Alive 2 was my first record that I actually bought with my own money. And that was it, man. I mean, for anyone that knows that you open it up, it's sparks and smoke and flames and 4 dudes looking cool. And I just was like, whatever that is, I want to do that. That's it, So that was the beginning.
That was the beginning. So did you always picture yourself going into the rock genre then after the Kiss Alive, or did you play around?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, it was like my mom had an ABBA CD in her car. When I started driving, she had an ABBA CD and a Bee Gees. And I was like, I would take them out and put them away, even if I wasn't listening to music. I just had to, because it wasn't rock. And then one day I said, I'm going to listen to this ABBA thing. I was almost afraid of it. I put it in, Dancing comes on. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is good. And then like 3 songs in, I'm like, this is great. And I love ABBA now and the Bee Gees too. But back then it was like strict rock, hard rock. That was it. I would look at how somebody's haircut was. And if it wasn't like long hair, I was like, no, can't listen to it, which, now Go figure. So, but yeah, it was like religiously just rock and roll in the beginning.
Nice, brother. So, being in the rock genre, who were the major drummers that played an influence in you growing up and the play styles that you had?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Phil Rudd from AC/DC was an early one, and as time has gone on, it's just like become more and more important to me. Just one of the greatest drummers ever. Clyde Burr from Iron Maiden, Joey Kramer, Aerosmith, Bunny Carlos, Cheap Trick, Eric Carr, and then everyone we were Episcopalian, so we didn't have to go to catechism, which was the Catholic kids every Tuesday night went to catechism, which was like class.
Yep.
And I'm watching MTV and this thing comes on and it's Motley Crue Looks to Kill. And I see Tommy Lee with the thing, and I was just like, what? Like the music, the look, I mean, they looked amazing, but just him, just so beautiful, swinging his arms and just the symmetry, all of it. I was like, boom. So Tommy was like the real big influence. So I listen to myself play and I go, yeah, I took that from Knock 'Em Dead Kid. I took that from this song. I took that, So that was like, Tommy was the big one. Vinnie Appice was another one.
Oh, cool.
And then I ended up going back because I was reading an interview with Tommy Lee's drum tech, and he talked about Bonham. And I knew Led Zeppelin because, they're on the radio all day, but I never really got into Bonham. And I just dove in, and it was like, just mind blowing. So that was a very long drum lesson. So it kind of saved me like Tommy Lee, Bonham, and then there's so many others in there, but those are like my main guys.
Hell yeah, Bonham was as far as I was concerned was the top of the heap when I was growing up, and Zeppelin 2, stuff like that. I mean, the work that he did. Vinnie Appice, obviously. Robby, you got some experience with Vinnie Appice playing on stage, right?
Yeah, I've done the Peace Brothers show, and actually working with Carmine right now, which I haven't revealed to anybody yet until the record's done. So, oops, it's kind of coming out, but
nice.
Yeah.
Slip.
Yeah, my
Slip,
first
slip.
concert was Kiss. Okay, talking about Kiss, first concert, Kiss.
What year?
76.
Oh, nice. 79 for me. So still make up an original guys, but so that was Destroyer tour for you?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. It was Kiss, Ted Nugent, Bob Seger's, and Montrose.
Whoa.
Oh, gosh.
Tempe, Diablo Stadium, man. It was a madhouse.
Oh, we had Judas Priest.
It's just like, I got right in front of Gene and I held on to that, the wall there, because I was a little guy, and then I just held on and stayed there the whole concert. Didn't move.
That's badass. You were saying Judas Priest?
Yeah, so Priest opened up when I saw him, and Halford had long hair. So I hadn't even heard of Judas Priest. I was 9 years old. So when I got into Priest, 2-3 years later, I go, I remember with Kiss, they had another singer. And people will go, no, he's always been the singer. I go, no, it was the guy with long hair. And they go, no, Rob Halford had long hair. And I said, no, because in my mind, if you had long hair, you would never cut your hair. Why would you ever cut your hair? I didn't understand that these are people and, they change or do whatever they do. And so, yeah, eventually I learned to accept that he once had long hair. But yeah, so we saw Priest open up.
Nice.
So Robby still hasn't cut the hair. He's one of the last remaining.
Hey, if you got it, rock it.
That's what I'm saying, brother. I'm too thin on top. I look hideous with long hair now. Robby's got the luscious Lochner locks, though, So we've got some questions here. It says, back in high school, were you part of any bands? Were you doing the rock scene then, or?
Yeah, so there were 6 guys with long hair in our high school. So 2 of them were the Burnouts, and the other 4 were our band.
Right.
Everybody else was wearing khakis with white 3-button shirts with short sleeves. And so first band was called Battle Axe.
Battle Axe.
Yeah. And, covers. We did everything. So we did Priest, Kiss, Twisted Sister, Maiden, just all that. We did a Michael Bolton tune before Michael, went, kind of more singer. He was a rocker, a song called Everybody's Crazy. So we covered that. We did all this stuff. And we actually won a Battle of the Bands at a church doing SMF by Twisted Sister. For anyone who doesn't know, is Sick Motherfucker. And then we did Judas Priest and Everything Coming. And we just laughing as they're, the priest, the ministers, you boys really did a great job. Congratulations,
Michael Bolton was a rocker?
Yeah. Robby, do you remember that?
I don't.
Oh, look up.
Wow.
Well, he was in a band with Bruce Kulick.
Oh, wow.
Sandy Gennaro called, I got it over in my records. I can't remember Blackjack.
Blackjack.
And then Michael went solo and I think did 2 records. And Fool's Game was one of the songs, and Everybody's Crazy. And it was really good, and great singer. And then I was watching The Tonight Show, and they go, here he is, Michael Bolton. And I go, oh, awesome. And he's got one of those collarless button shirts, and, and he's got a suit on. And they're doing Georgia, Ray Charles tune. And I'm like, they're going to bust into a rock version or something. And I'm like, no, he just sang. Okay. And so he made a career change, which again, similar to the Halford thing, I was like, I thought if you were just one thing, you couldn't change. You just
right.
Wasn't Nikki Sixx always Nikki Sixx? Wasn't Bruce Dickinson always Bruce Dickinson? What, but he had a great career. So there you go. It worked out for him. But yeah, always had that voice though.
Right. Bruce even cut his hair. I was disappointed on that one.
He did, yeah. It's not the same way. He's got the flag swinging, but he doesn't have the locks,
Right. I guess it got in the way of him flying all those jumbo jets and stuff.
The ponytail would be a drag, yeah.
Right. So Judas Priest was one of the bands that kind of changed my thoughts on music. Defenders of the Faith and Screaming for Vengeance. Those I can remember being 10 years old, rocking to that album and just thinking, wow, this is insane. And then, of course, Motley Crue, when they came out with Shout at the Devil, was a game changer completely. So I was a big Crue Maiden freak. I mean, I loved both of them. So out of those 2 bands, the influence Tommy had on you, what kind of influence did Maiden have on you? Because their music was so much more in depth than Crue, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially, I mean, Clive Burr was the original guy, and he was more of a groove guy. It was still little proggy. He would, he wasn't just kind of playing straight through. But then when Nico got in for Peace of Mind, it was holy shit, right. Trooper and Where Eagles Dare and all that stuff. And it was always the gallop.
Yep. Gallop.
And that was a different style for me. So I would play along, but I like the Motley Crue Priest, kind of the heavier, straight ahead thing. And Nico's just got his own language, which makes him so amazing to listen to,
Right. Moonstar says metal guys seem to gravitate towards country music as they get older. Is that because I just did a country concert? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
There might be some truth to that.
I mean, if they don't want to keep singing like that, or maybe they can't maybe sing the way they used to. And I think country and rock have always had a thing, kind of that outlaw thing. And there's similar lyrics in there. And I think it's a way you can kind of grow older gracefully, if for whatever reason, I mean, look at Maiden, they're all in their 60s at least, and they look great, they sound great, so it was working for them. But I see, you see that happening.
Absolutely. All Brett Michaels. I don't know about Brett going country. Yeah, whatever. Robby, you gonna go country? Is that what you're gonna do, brother?
I don't mind playing country. I got my telly back here. You see that? I got 2 tellies.
Right.
I mean, I like some of the stuff. I mean, there's some really good country music, really good production, storytelling. It's a lot of it is kind of the modern country kind of leans towards almost like 80s rock, really. You think about it. It's kind of maybe with a little more twang, but there's definitely some killer guitar players.
Absolutely. Brad Paisley is amazing.
Brad Paisley, he's a mofo, no question.
He is. He's a beast.
Yeah, once Mutt Lang got in the game,
Yep.
drums got huge.
Yep.
That Shania record, that first one, and it was
Yep.
like, okay, there you go.
It changed a lot, didn't it? When he knocked down some walls for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, Shania would have never been Shania without Mutt. I mean, that was incredible, the transformation in careers that you saw there.
Oh yeah, she was huge after that.
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
Song. Yeah,
she's a good showman.
Your high school band. Let's go back to that for a minute. How long did that last? How long did you have that band for? And then when did it break up? When did it break up? And then let's
Yeah, we did probably about 4 years, high school length, and then
cool.
And then my guitar player, Danny Formica, he went on to play in this band called Sequin Rouge, which talk about Poison. It was like that kind of thing. And Mike Duda, who now is in Wasp, New Haven, Connecticut. So he was in that band, and they moved to LA. So that he was like the first one to go to LA.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I don't have a guitar player anymore. Shit, what am I going to do? So I started playing regionally with this band that we had grown up seeing called Run 21. It was a 3-piece band, really talented. And the guitar player was Doug Blair, who is in Wasp as well. So, and Stet, who was the original drummer, or not the original, but the one that I knew coming up for Run 21, Stet went on to play with Wasp too. So it was like a training ground, for Wasp, I guess.
Right.
Wasp was hard hitting, man. I loved Wasp. They were crazy intense, their music.
Great songs. Always great songs, that first record, and Last Command was the second one. Wild Child, I always loved that story, those lyrics, really.
Right.
There was all the stuff, but then there was that songwriting underneath it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how long did 121 go for? How long was that?
So that for me was about 2 years, and that was kind of the end of that band, but they had been around for, probably at least a decade before that.
No kidding.
They were the band that we would go see when we were 14, and we'd sneak in.
And they were doing, they were on a circuit doing covers. Is that what they were doing, or what was it?
They were an original band. They were regional, so it was like maybe Vermont to New York, kind of the Northeast.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was that was my first taste of playing to a click. Going into the studio. Kind of having things scrutinized, which I really liked, actually. Talking about kick drum patterns and like discussing. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Well, I'm doing this here. And then what if you added one or two? We had a Hirsch Gardner who was in a band called New England. And, he had produced our record. And so, yeah, it was like another level. And again, I liked the kind of thinking about what you played and why and all of that kind of composition thing,
So they did records? They released records too?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Probably, like self-released in the beginning. And then we were working with, is it SBK or S something, but it was Scott something who was working with Extreme at the time. I can't remember. It was a production company. And that's when Hirsch came in.
Mm. Interesting. So when that came to an end for you, did it come to an end for the whole band, or did the band continue on?
No, that was it. And I don't remember. I didn't quit. I think it just kind of. I think actually Doug went out with Wasp. That's kind of what happened there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stop. So then you're without a band, and then what are you doing? You're going, okay, I'm without a band. Is that when you decided I'm going to LA, or is it that didn't happen yet?
No, that didn't happen yet. So what did I do? I kind of just played around and going to jams and stuff, but it was like blues jams, and it was hard to find, like a lot of guys play rock, but talented guys who played rock, there wasn't many. Jimmy Bell is from here, and Jimmy's was always great, and so there were, Jimmy was around, but that was kind of it for the most part. So doing cover gigs, bar band stuff, and then I ended up going to LA first time. Ooh, I don't know what year. I'm not good with years, but like somewhere in the early '90s, and was out there for a year. Could not figure it out. Didn't know how to network. Did not understand that at all. Was just kind of hanging out, but I was never like connecting with anyone. I would just, kind of chase girls, and I wasn't really thinking like that, So did that. Came back to Connecticut about a year after that. And that's when I started playing. I play guitar a little, but I started playing guitar and singing. And then I started a band called The Flames, which was like kind of Joan Jett, Cheap Trick, Kiss, that type of thing, late 70s rock and roll. And we had a demo deal with Atlantic, and we play in New York a lot, CBGB. And we started doing stuff with Arturo Vega, who was like the Ramones. He was like their lighting. He was like the fifth Ramone. He was their lighting director, designed the logo, just did a lot of stuff for them. And so we played Joey Ramone's birthday party, and that was kind of the beginning of that. So we started getting into that whole scene and hanging out, and the photographer Bob Gruen and Danny Fields, who had signed the Stooges, and the MC5 and Modern Lovers, worked with the Ramones, etc. So that was cool for me because I was meeting all these people that I, cover A Dress to Kill. That's Bob Gruen's photo. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy. And so that started to get to another level, But then after that, I went back to LA. So now we're up to like 2002. And then that's when I played with Bang Tango, was kind of the first gig. Met Joe Leste at the Cat Club on Sunset, another jam, and did Bang Tango. And then that turned into the second Beautiful Creatures record, which Glenn Sobel, who's now with Alice Cooper for many years, had done the first record. And so, I think he was having some troubles with his wrist or something, but he just wasn't available. Hey, you want to come to some rehearsals? And then it just sort of turned into the record. And we did some touring with that, and then played with Kevin, which was like, I love Frankie Banali's drumming.
Yeah.
Obviously a heavy Bonham influence there. And so I would play that Metal Health record all the time. And so playing with Kevin and then playing Frankie's parts was a really cool experience. And Kevin couldn't have been like sweeter. And, that's a guy, like, he had the reputation of being a wise ass and all that stuff. He was the sweetest guy, and he was really supportive of Alex Grossi, who brought me to playing with Kevin. And he just was so supportive. He was so encouraging. You guys sound great. Keep doing what you're doing. He was always telling Alex, lay back, play more laid back. And he was a big Free and Humble Pie fan, so we talk about that a lot.
So was that under Quiet Riot name or under Kevin Dubrow name?
That was under Kevin, because he had done a solo record, and so we did some touring around that. And then Alex went on to play with Quiet Riot, and still is to this day. But that was great. And so we got offered this tour. Kevin got offered this tour. So it was the Bad Boys of Metal, which was Kevin, Janie Lane, Steven Adler, and Joe Leste. And it was going to be one band for everyone. So I would be playing Warrant stuff, Bang Tango, and Quiet Riot. Steven would obviously play the gun stuff. And I just was like, the idea of being on the bus with Kevin was great, but everybody else, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. It was just like, I don't know. So I passed on it, and Kevin was kind of bummed, and I went back to singing again. So then I put together a band called the Automatic Music Explosion. I got into all this bubblegum stuff. I was producing this band called Dead Legend, and they were like 19, and they go, "You ever hear this song called Yummy Yummy?" I never heard it, and they thought it was really funny. They go, listen to this song, yummy, 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 I got love. And I was like, this is fucking great. Like, I heard Cheap Trick in there. I heard Joan Jett, like all the power pop stuff. It was like it was the root of everything. And so I was like, what if I did a band sort of like that, but like the Archies too, where there's a girl in it. So we got a female singer too. So I sang, she played tambourine. She was like this 5'11" like cheerleader from hell. She was just like super crazy and powerful. And we did a record with a producer, Mike Chapman. Mike had produced so many artists, and The Sweet, Susie Quattro, The Knack, Get the Knack, Parallel Lines, Blondie, like all of my favorite records. And that was, again, all in that kind of that power pop vein. And that was a great experience. And again, he shopped that record around. He's friends with Clive Davis, et cetera, just never didn't break through. Like we got that far, and then it just kind of leveled off. And so I was really, really bummed, and I thought, I don't need to be the leader anymore. I want to just get with the guys that have figured that shit out, because obviously I had a certain amount of talent, a shit ton of drive, but it just wasn't happening, And I thought, well, what's the best thing I do? And I said, well, I love singing, but probably if I was going to get together with Jimmy Page and he said, you could sing or play drums, what would you do? And I would play drums. So I said, all right, let's play drums. Let's do that and see how that goes. And within 9 months, I was playing with Ace Frehley, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then they go, you play drums, but you also have to sing all the Paul Stanley songs.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, I had been trying to figure it out all these years. Like I had to be a singer, I had to be a drummer, but I couldn't be both. And I ended up getting a gig where I got to do both. And as best I could, sing one of my favorite singers' tunes, So that was a sign to me, like from the universe, just don't worry about it, man. We'll figure it out. You just show up and be great and kick ass and have a great attitude. And because I had been the leader of so many bands, I knew who I wanted around me, what kind of people. So I said, I'll just show up and just be the absolute best soldier,
Yeah.
And
so how did that happen with Ace Frehley? I mean, come on, you're a Kiss fan. You're going to play with a guy from Kiss. That's a big deal. So how did that whole connection happen? And you must have been a little bit like, wow, I'm playing with Ace Frehley, at least the first, I know for me, when I first played with Halford, I was like, I'm playing with Rob Halford. I'm looking and going, he's singing, I'm playing guitar. How did this happen? I'm looking around going, is it me playing? Yeah, it's me. And that's him singing. I mean, you got to have that same kind of feeling,
Yeah, totally. I mean, logistically how it happened, Scott Coogan was playing drums. Scott had left. There was a press release. He said he quit. So I was like, okay. And again, from going to jams, I just called everyone I knew. And Brent Woods, who I don't know if he's playing with Sebastian at the time. He played with Vince Neil. But he goes, yeah, I know Anthony Esposito, who was in Lynch Mob, but he was Ace's bass player. He goes, I'll call Anthony. You'd be great. And at that jam, I used to go to this jam, this place, Harper's, and it would be so dead that they were like, does anyone sing? And they're like, hey, do you sing? And I was like, yeah, I can sing. And so we did some Zeppelin and stuff. And so Brent heard me sing, and he was like, this guy sings. He can sing high. He's a great drummer. He'd be great. And so I spoke with Anthony for a little bit. And then in a couple of weeks, I went to New York. And I played with Anthony and Todd Youth, who was a guitar player at the time. Ace wasn't there. We did about 6 songs. I sang Love Gun.
Nice.
And they were like, it was very New York. They were like, all right, cool. Thanks, dude. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I knew I did a good job. They were New York. I was like, I got a good feeling about this, but they gave me nothing. You know what I mean? There wasn't even like, hey, good job. It was like, all right, dude, thanks. And a couple weeks later, Anthony called me and he was like, you got the gig, bro. I was like, oh, amazing. He goes, now listen, I'm going to send you the set list. You got a lot of songs to learn. I'm like, okay, that's cool. He sends me the set list. I'm like, I know every song. I mean, it's just, I sent it to my friend Jurgen Carlson, who's a bass player in Government Mule. He's a big Kiss fan. I sent him the set list. I go, hey, here's the set list. I text it to him. He just writes back, fuck you. So
That's awesome.
I had to learn their tempos and their arrangement changes and the beginnings and endings. But yeah, that was it. And like, yeah, Robbie, to what you said, part of me was like, oh, this is amazing. And then the other part of me was like, well, no, but I always played with Kiss in my room. So like, like
That's true. Good
little
point.
kid in me was like, yeah, no, this is what we were going to do. Remember? But the adult is like, wow,
Yeah.
this
Good
is
point. I like
cool,
that.
We got a question that just came in. Matt, do you play to a click track?
I do, depending on the situation. Live, I have never played to a click. On some gigs, like some smaller bands, I have, like up and coming artists that had tracks, but Ace, no tracks, Mr. Big, no tracks, Joe Lynn Turner, no tracks. So I'm comfortable doing it, but I don't, I don't, as far as, cause it's we play with the elder statesmen of rock. So they like to do it the way they want to do it,
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find that it brings you the tempo tighter? Does it bring the band together a little bit more, or is it easier to?
Not, it's the same every night. So that's a fact. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like being able to react to what's going on, especially playing with Ace. I have him in my ears really loud, and I can hear his pick on the strings, and he'll push and pull a little, and I'll just go with that. You know what I mean? So it keeps me on my toes, which I really like. And I think the thing with the click is, again, it's a tool, and in the studio, I'm almost always on a click, but I have to play to the click. So I can kind of lean towards somebody to connect with them musically, but I can't deviate from that, So,
Right.
So there's that. So it's it's got its pluses and its minuses, But I know plenty of friends of mine playing bands that we all know and love, and some guys have tracks, some guys just have click. It's just because the singer wants it a certain way.
Right.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just a tool, It's just a tool. And so whatever works for the artist.
Yeah.
So for those of the people out there that don't understand what a click track is, can you explain that to them?
It's a machine. So
Metronome.
Yeah, it's a tempo. So you got your set list, and you will have whatever tempos you've entered into that, or maybe your tech runs it or whatever, but you'll get that tempo, and then we count everybody in. So it's going to be the same exact tempo every night, and through the whole song it'll be the same too. Some guys may start the song and then shut it off. So it's okay, we're here, and then maybe we're going to speed up as you do if it's exciting. And so but that's what it is. It's basically it's a drum machine. It's just a facet of a drum machine.
Nice. Heck yeah.
So now I want to hear about the first time you met Ace. Then what was that first interaction with Ace? It must have been a rehearsal probably, but what was that feeling?
Yeah, that was in New York. So Ace rehearsed at the Gibson Showroom, which was in Manhattan, and it's the old Hit Factory. So it's cool because you're in a tracking room. So like the sound is, all dialed in and everything. And so we're just hanging, and he's like walking down the street from the deli with his guitar, and he's like the only one on the street. And it was daytime, but it was like a silhouette in the sun. And I was just like, there he is. And he's got that walk, the way he walks. And it was like, there he is, And he goes, hey, you must be the new drummer. I go, yeah. He goes, hey, good to meet you. And that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, and then we went in and we played. And I remember thinking, like, when I play with him, I just want him to play the songs. I mean, obviously, if he said something, that would be cool. But I hope that there's no conversation. We just play, because that means it's all good. Yeah, and we played like 2 songs, and then at the wash of the second song, he just gave me the thumbs up. The first day, we probably got through about a third of the set, and he was like, all right, we're good. And again, I'm like, that means we're good. Like it's not, someone might think, oh no, like he ended early, but he was just good. He was good. And the next night we did almost the rest of the set, but we didn't do the whole thing, So I would have preferred to go through everything, a few times, but that was it. And that's what you realize too. You know, Mr. Big was the same way. We'd have 5 days of rehearsal, and the first day we'd sit around and talk.
Yeah.
The second day we play a little, and then, you know, eventually we'd have gotten through everything. But it's, you know, it's just more about kind of getting the muscles going again, you know.
Yeah, and then
Right.
I think the talking part's important too, because it's the bonding. So when you kind of get to know each other and you bond, there's just something that happens synergistically, spiritually, everything that happens that comes across in the music.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You can put great players together in a room and play, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a band or feel something out of it. But there's when that bond happens, there's something that ignites. So
Yeah, that's huge. And you know, from having a bunch of different gigs, it's like there's a lot of guys that could do what I do. There's a lot of guys that could do what you do, not the way exactly you do it, but there's guys that are capable of it. But why does this guy get so many gigs? Why is this guy played with Halford and Jack Russell? And you know, it's the hang, you know, and it's not just about drinking beers. It's like it's the connection. And do I want to be around this person for 9 months straight? You know,
right, exactly.
So on that same subject, going back, you didn't want to go over the road with Kevin and Steve Adler and them. What was behind all that? You just didn't feel comfortable with that group, or?
I knew that was going to be fucking insane. It was all on one bus.
Right.
You know, I love Steven, but he's a handful. Again, always just been a sweetheart with me, but I just think on the road it would have been a lot. And then Janie, he's not with us anymore, so you know, you see how that went.
Right.
Kevin, I felt you know, part of me, I was torn because I love Kevin and I know he wanted me to go, but yeah, I just was like that. And I think too, honestly, I was maybe wanting to get back to singing. I had that itch.
Right.
And so if it was just more dates with Kevin, I would have said, you know, yeah, let's keep going because this is great. But just like into the pit. Oh, and Joe Leste again, who I love Joe, but you know, Joe, I'd been out with Joe a lot, and so I knew what that was about too. So, you know, it would have been a lot. It would have been a good reality show. It would have been
yeah, can you imagine?
Celebrity Rehab, baby. But yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been a great show. So one of the bands, obviously one of the greatest bands that I treasured that you were part of was Mr. Big here.
Yep.
Mr. Big, actually, To Be With You is my wife and I's song.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. What was it like joining Mr. Big? What brought that on? How did you become part of the band?
Another jam in Hollywood. And this is for anyone who's a musician, you know, just get out there. Get out there, meet people, play, hang out. Because a lot of these jams I'd go to, there wasn't anybody there. It's not like I went to this packed house and Doc McGee was in the back and he saw me and then, you know, motioned me. There was nobody there sometimes, you know. But I went, I showed up, and this was another one of those jams. And then I got off, I went up to play, and the singer said, "Hey, can you sing too? Because I need a break." And I said, "Okay." So we did TNT by AC/DC. And I stepped off the stage, and Billy Sheehan was there, and he goes, "You were great. Who are you? How come I don't know you?" And he goes, "I want to get your number. I don't want to lose you," is what he said. "I want to keep in touch." I said, "All right." You know, and it's Billy. It was amazing. So, you know, about a year later, he had reached out, and you know, I would be out on the road. I remember I was in Europe with Doug Aldrich, and you know, there were Winery Dogs posters, so I took a picture and texted Billy. You know, we just kept in touch a little bit like that. But he called me and said, you know, we might need someone to help out on a couple shows for our tour. Would you be interested? And then I said, yeah, of course. And he said, well, I want you to learn Addicted to That Rush and Take Cover, 2 of our songs. And let's me and you play, because we've never played Mr. Big stuff. And I just want to play with you on those songs so I can tell the guys how it was. I said, all right. So we got together, and before we played, he goes, well, you know, I didn't really tell you the whole story. He goes, so our drummer, Pat, has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and we don't know if he's going to be able to play, if he's going to not be able to play, if he's going to come on tour. We don't know. So we actually need somebody to do the whole tour. And it was one of those things where part of my brain is going like, wow, that's awesome to play with these guys and be on tour. And then the other part's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
his brother, a fellow drummer. I didn't know Pat at the time, but it was emotional hearing him talk about it. And it was just like, whew, it's just a sobering moment. And then he goes, all right, so let's play. I was like, okay, and so we launch into Addicted to That Rush. And that's another thing too. It's, having bigger gigs or bigger opportunities just in general in any business, but especially this one, is a lot of management of emotions, and just, okay, this is going on, or you just had an unpleasant conversation with your wife, or something is weird in the band, or somebody's mad at somebody, or somebody's mad at you, or whatever. And okay, I'm going to put that over here.
Right.
I'm going to do my job, and then we'll deal with that later. And so we played each song once, and he goes, that's great. Okay, cool. I'm going to talk to the guys, and we'll be in touch. And I was like, all right. And then like a month went by. But like it's like when you say like the Beatles, they got turned down by every record label, and you go, well, right. Yeah, but now they're the Beatles. Yeah, but for them, it was day by day. And then Brian Epstein goes, I'm going to go to Capitol. And then he comes back. No, they passed. Oh, I'm going to go to Decca. Okay, this is it. No, they passed. You can't to the fact. So it was, he was going to be a couple weeks. Then it was 3, and then it was 4. And I was like, I'd look online. Did they get a drummer? Eventually their manager, Tim, called and said, we'd like to get together with everybody. And so we got together at Mates in North Hollywood, which is a rehearsal place. A lot of bands rehearse there. And I got there early, and then right after I got there, Pat walked in. And we'd never met before. And we just hugged each other, and, he just told me about what's going on with him. And I'm glad we had that time, because other than Billy, that was the first member of Mr. Big that I met. And even Billy and I, we had talked a bit and obviously played a little, but Pat and I just like got right into a heart to heart, like right out of the gate. And that was a really special friendship, and I'm glad that it started like that, Right. And then everybody else showed up, and Eric showed up with Eric Martin, singer, with a shirt that had 4 Stormtrooper heads and Kiss Me. And
Conversation starter.
Yeah, well, I'd never met Eric, but when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's his way of going, hey, dude, I'm pulling for you, little support.
Right.
And that was another one, we played through Green Tinted 60s Mind, I think was the first one we did. And immediately it sounded, I'd been playing along to their DVD and from Live from Budokan. And so immediately it felt great. It felt really good. And I was like, this is really good. And then Eric threw some harmonies at me, and I sang some different things. But no one was saying anything. Like no one was going, great. And I realized because they want Pat to be playing.
Yeah.
And Pat's right here, and Pat's not playing. And so, I'm in my own world just trying to do a great job. And then I'm realizing what's actually going on in the room. And again, it was just a very, it was a beautiful thing, even though there was a sadness element to it. It just gave weight to it. And any nerves just completely got calmed down, because I'm like, it's not about any of that shit. It's about just being here with these guys, And afterwards, had a conversation, and they said, Pat, what do you think? And Pat goes, yeah, sounds great. And that was it. And then Eric was like, all right, I'm out. And he left the room, and everybody had their back to Eric, and he was in the door, and he just pointed at me, and he went, and then he just jumped out of the room. But it was like nice. All right, cool. So that was the beginning. That was the, audition, I guess. It was, just to make sure it felt good.
Cool.
That must have been extremely, extremely humbling to sit there and play in front of Pat and play Pat's music in front of him and have him give you the nod of, yeah, that's what we need, especially with what he was battling.
Yeah, no, that meant the world to me. And of course, all the guys, signing off and saying, yeah, cool, but especially Pat. And yeah, and man, our friendship, it was great. It was just like kind of, like I said, it was right out of the gate. And every time we get somewhere, I'd wake up, text him, hey, there's a Starbucks, 0.3 miles away. And he'd go, cool, lobby, 5 minutes. We'd go down there, we'd go get our coffee. Pat didn't have very exquisite taste, so he would a lot of times eat at Starbucks, so he wasn't eating anything that was funky or different. Right. He'd get his food there, and we talk about our wives, we talk about Buddy Rich, and we talk about John Bonham, and we'd also talk about comedians.
Really?
So I turned him on to Jiminy Glick, which is a character that Martin Short does, where he interviews people, and he's a complete lunatic. And but yeah, man, we just kind of had this ongoing conversation over the 4 years that he was with the band,
Absolutely. So we've got a lot more things to cover here. I do know that you did a song on one of my favorite TV shows, which the cup is almost deteriorated here, which was Sons of Anarchy. You did a song called Anyone. Yeah.
So that was on the Beautiful Creatures record. And right. And that was an interesting one because Anthony Fox, who was the guitar player at the time, was transitioning. He was just sitting behind the engineer and asking him about everything he was doing. And I didn't realize this, but he was making the move to being an engineer and a producer. And he ended up, I don't know if he got a producer credit on that. Toby Wright had produced that record with Alice in Chains and a bunch of other bands, but Toby was kind of having him, like his assistant and doing all this stuff. So that was the beginning of that. And so, and now Anthony has mixed the last two Ace Frehley records. He worked with Marty Frederiksen and, Steven Tyler, et cetera, et cetera. He's doing really good.
Cool. Damn right. Now, is it true? We had somebody bring it up in the messages here. You did some work or songs with Spongebob Squarepants. Is that correct?
We had the band, the Automatic Music Explosion. We had a song that was in the SpongeBob movie or one of the SpongeBob movies. I think closing credits. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You were also
have to pay attention next time.
Yeah.
My daughter loves the show, so I've watched the movies and the show with her and stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
We also you had a song used, the song "Freedom" on Sandra Bullock's movie "The Proposal" back in 2009. One of my favorite movies. Now, something a lot of people may not know about you, and something I may need to use you for, is that you're a career coach.
Right.
And a public speaker. So let's talk a little bit about the career coach aspect of your life.
Yeah, that came out of, for me, like you heard in my story, I knew what I wanted to do, which is the first thing in, getting anything done on this planet. And I had the desire and I had the talent to do it, but it wasn't happening. And so I'm like, okay, I think I got these things, but I got something I'm missing, And once I got that right, that opened up my whole life. That was, again, Ace, and then just everything else we've been talking about. And so I had guys that I had reached out initially to when I kind of had made that change, and they were saying, you came to me for advice a year ago, and now you're all over the place. Like, what are you doing? And I realized that I had figured something out, and then all my drum lessons too would turn into, how do I get gigs? How do I get work? And guys would always ask for the Ace Frehley story, but I realized they weren't looking for the story. Like, here we're just telling stories and talking about the history. They wanted to know, how can I get a gig with someone that I grew up listening to? And I realized the most valuable thing, I love drums and I love talking music and stuff, but I think the most valuable thing I can share with these guys is how to get work. And how to be employable and how to be an employee, because you see a band, unless it's the original guys, you see a band up there and you think they're a band, rock and roll. Yeah, they're a band, but one of those guys is the boss and the rest of them are employees.
Right.
And so just like when you go to McDonald's, you don't just decide, hey, I'm going to do the fries today and I'm going to change the menu. It's like, you're going to do the fries and we'll get somebody else to do the fries. Now, playing drums at a rock band is cooler than that, but it's a lot of that same mentality, you know, and then talking about setting rates and raising rates, which is, you know, scary, you know,
Right.
money is just, you know, and I realize a lot of this stuff for a lot of people talking about money is challenging, but for musicians, if we're lucky, we're talking about money, hopefully a few times a day. Hey, what do you charge for this? I want you to play on this. Can you do this? What is that? How much? You better get comfortable with that. And don't worry about what you think they can pay. What do you want? What are you worth? Let's start there. You know, so anyway, it's a whole thing. And it's all the stuff in here and here. That's what keeps people from working. You know,
Yeah.
There's amazing guitar players, and then there's okay guitar players.
Yeah.
They both have work. And so as musicians, we always think I guess I'm not good enough. Or for me, I thought like, well, I need to have long hair. And it's like, well, that ship is sailed. So what am I going to do? You know?
Right.
And I realized it didn't have anything. Once you're at a level, it doesn't have anything to do with that stuff. It's a whole other thing. So that I started doing it with musicians, and now I have probably like about half of my clients are musicians, and the other half, you know, they own their own businesses. They do all kinds of different stuff, but they're not in music. So it's just universal stuff that I learned, and I've been doing about 10 years now, and that's been really profound. You know, kind of had an issue with being the rock star. I mean, I don't think myself as a rock star, but, you know, being the rock and roll guy, but then you're a coach. It's like, how does it? And it's like, you know what? If I got something I can bring to the table and I can help somebody, I can make their life better. Who am I to deny that? You know, just do it. Just show up and do it. So that's a part of what I do. And it's been a really profound experience.
You know, there's a lot of truth to what you just said, because I do a lot of contract negotiations and stuff when promoting shows, and that nervous, I think everybody kind of has that nervous, like, ooh, should I really go for that number, or should I really ask for this discount, or should I really ask for this? And if you don't, people just run all over you, and you got to know that. So having the strength and the courage and the self-belief that you're worth that, or what you're doing is worth what you're doing, is difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. And also too, I had a 14-year-old girl ask me at a workshop at a school of rock. She goes, where do you get all your self-confidence? And no one had ever asked me that before. And I thought about it, and I said, if you were in my head, you wouldn't think you might not ask me that question. You know,
Right.
I just figure out what I want to do, and then I just do it. Now, it's not that easy, but it's that simple, you know? And so I see a lot, you know, where people say, I just got to get my confidence up. It's like, nah, you just got to set your rates and and just take your shit and put it on the side here. Like we talked about, you take your emotions and put them on the side, and just, you have that money conversation, or you have that whatever, or you might show up and you might feel slighted and you might want to leave. And it's like, no, you know, you're waiting to sit in and jam, and they don't call you, and they call somebody else, and you might go, oh, this is, no, you stay there. You know, you
Right.
stay there, and you don't drink, because this is an audition. Even if it's a jam, you're working, you know? So
Amen.
just kind of looking at it from that level, and just putting all those things aside. Is this going to get me what I want, or is this going to get in the way? If it's going to get in the way, let me deal with that later, you know?
And it's a fine line between being confident and being an egomaniac, or coming across as an asshole, when you're setting your rate and your standards and what you want. And a lot of people have a hard time digesting that when they're faced with people that are confident about that.
Yeah, I think it's about, you know, when the specific thing is setting your rate. You know, you set your rate, and then not everybody's your client. Not every gig is yours, you know? And if I look at it this way, like, I want to offer a Mercedes. And if you aren't looking for a Mercedes, you just need a car.
Right.
That's not me, you know? That's not me. But, you know, I think what comes along with it too is it's not just like setting the rate. It's like, how do I provide an exceptional, not just like, you know, drum track or whatever. It's like, it's the whole experience, You know, like, how do you communicate with people? I've had so many people where they've messaged me about something and I get back to them and then they say, I got another drummer for a few songs, but let me see what he says. And then I'm going to have you on too. And then like 2 days later, they're like, man, you know, you're just easy to talk to. Like, do you want to do the whole record?
Right.
And I go, yeah, I do, you know?
Absolutely. So how do people reach out to you, to talk to you or have you as a career coach? Where would they find that at?
So they can go to my site. It's mattstarcoaching.com, or they can just message me on Facebook. You know, I check my messages. I check my spam folder every day. So that's easy enough.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, it's been, I can't believe it's been an hour, Robby.
You know what? But we got to talk Joe Lynn Turner real quick. I want to hear a little bit about Joe Lynn Turner.
Come on.
What do we got here? Joe Lynn Turner.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know, one of the greatest singers ever, along with Paul Rogers, you know.
Amen.
That was Steve Brown from Trickster.
Okay.
I was talking to August Zadro, who plays with Dennis DeYoung, and he goes, oh, you know, he goes, I was talking to Steve a few weeks ago. He plays with Joe Lynn Turner, and they might need a drummer for some shows, but he thought you'd be too expensive and you probably wouldn't want to do it. And I said, what? I go, give me his number. And it was at the Lucky Strike Jam. I went outside and I called him. I go, hey, you know, call me tomorrow, but like, look, we got to talk about this. And that's where I learned you got to just put yourself out there. Because I've had people say like, oh, I wanted to have you play, but I thought maybe you only played on famous people's records. It's like, no, man, we're musicians. We make music with other musicians. Some of them are name guys and some of them are, you know, independent. Joe, you know, Joe's amazing, man. You know, still sings great. Again, super sweet dude. You know, to play those songs. Again, I remember 83 from San Antonio, Texas, Live Between the Eyes, Bobby Rondinelli on drums, Stone Cold, Jealous Lover, Can't Happen Here, you know, I Surrender, Death Alley Driver, on and on and on. And I get the set list, and it's like all of that plus an Yngwie song and Long Live Rock and Roll. And then about 2 months later, we were in San Antonio. And
wow.
I was just like, there he is. Yeah, I mean, look at this guy. Amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
Everything about him says rock, baby. Everything.
Yeah. And he's just, he's no bullshit. And, you know, and I think too, with these older guys, and, you know, Robbie, you have probably the same experience with Jack, they really appreciate good musicians. And if you do something a little different, they go, hey, that was cool, man. I like what you did. Like, they're listening. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's really nice to have that. We did one of my favorite compliments. We played our second show was at the Whiskey. And he came up to me after. He goes, man, that tempo you laid down on Stone Cold, man. He goes, I was getting emotional. That was so good. And I was like, oh. I go, dude, I get emotional every time we do that because this voice comes through my wedge. And it's like, Jesus. But, yeah, so that was a beautiful experience.
Cool.
How cool is that?
Oh, yeah.
Jack, what are they saying? They're saying we need more cowbell. That's what we're saying.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Right? More cowbell.
Is there any cowbell in any Great White tune?
I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Well, no, that's not Desert Moon because Jack's up there banging on the cowbell when we're playing. He's doing it, not the drummer thing. So, yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if it's on the record if that's just him live. No, don't remember.
Old Dudes, great name for a band, they say.
Old Dudes.
Yeah.
The Old Dudes.
Yeah.
Man, Matt, I appreciate you more than you know, my brother. This was actually a really, really cool show. I think people are really happy with it. In fact, most people are asking us to go over and go 2 hours instead of 1. But I know you're on the East Coast, so it's already probably pretty late for you over there. Love to have you guys have you back on the show. Love to have you on my radio program in the mornings. So if you're okay with that, we'll keep in touch and make that happen. 'Cause that would be great.
great advice too for people out there to hear, you know, and it's not just musicians, it's all walks of life, it's universal. So it's great to just hear that. I think our show is about that a lot. We like hearing that kind of stuff from people, just putting it out there. So cool. Very
Absolutely.
cool.
Matt wants to know, do you own a Vinnie Paul 8-inch snare?
I don't. I love Vinnie Paul was a beast. Was such a great drummer. And my first drum was an 8-inch Ludwig Coliseum 8, but I play 6.5s now. But so no, I don't. But Vinnie Paul was awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Matt, thank you so much, my brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It's nice chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
You.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That was Matt Starr right here on the Hangout Live now.
Yeah.
Robby, what a story past. How do you go from Kiss Alive being one of the albums that changed you to playing on the stage and singing those songs? It's got to be completely surreal for him.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the advice he gave that getting there, you know, opening up the universe, you know, I thought it was good. I love hearing, you know, stuff that we all really know, but sometimes you just need to hear, you know, you hear people reinforce it and you kind of go, oh yeah.
That's what you got to do. So towards the end of the show there, everybody's asking, and I'm getting text messages even about a moment where I was starting to break out in laughter. Apparently somebody in the background tried to sneeze and contain it, and when they did, it made it sound like a hideous sound. Maybe even something that wasn't coming out of the top side, but the bottom side.
That's what it sounded like to me. I was holding back my best from laughing. Dude. I was cracking up, but he was telling a very important story, and I'm doing my best.
I know.
And I hear your son back there laughing. I'm like, okay, listen to the story. So I was able to get out of that moment and focus on what he was saying, but it took me a second.
It wasn't going to kill me, but I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I hear, I'm like,
it would have been so wildly inappropriate for me to start bust out laughing while he was telling a serious story, and I'm like, don't do it.
I tried so hard, and Veronica even texted me, LMAO, what was that? So I didn't realize that it was heard over that, so that's awesome.
Oh, it was loud and clear.
Yeah, so way to go there, hun, or whoever it was back there.
Right, it was the dog.
Right. Now here, watch this.
Blame it on the dog.
There they are over there. I see them, you know. I was dying. Amy Turk's like, just laugh, dude. Just laugh. I can't let it out. Right,
he was talking a serious moment, and I was like trying to get my focus back on what he was saying, and it was like, okay,
right.
I did. It was good, but boy, don't ever do that again.
We need a bloopers reel. That's what Laura says. We do need a bloopers reel because there's been some.
Yeah.
There's been a lot. So we've got some great guests coming up. We've got a lot of people lining up right now. Who do we have next week, Robby?
Felix Pillard. He's also a drummer. Felix has played with Sheila E., Lionel Richie, Destiny's Child. He's played with a lot of people. He's
with crazy.
Claude Von Trotha band right now as well too. That's how I actually met him, and he's done recordings. If anybody saw the remake of Hold the Line, he's the drummer on that I did. The following week we got Bill Cinquey, and Bill's played with Neil Young and come on, Neil Young. Neil Diamond, sorry.
Neil Diamond,
not Neil Young. Yeah. But
yeah,
thank you for the correction. But whatever. He's he's a killer bass player, and he'll be a good talk too.
Hold the Line was a rad. I'd love to get Robin McCauley on here, man. That video killed it, and the vocals on there killed it. You're always the great guest. Your host Smith with the most. I don't know if we have the most, but we certainly try. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all right, so let's do this again next week, brother.
We're gonna do it next week. Yeah, let's keep it going, and we're gonna keep it rolling.
Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate you, my brother. We'll keep it rolling somehow, somewhere.
We got some good guests potentially in the pipeline. Some really, if we get the one that we are told, it would be humongous, one of the biggest artists pretty much of all time, probably second to a Beatle. Let's just leave it at that. It would be unreal for us to be talking to the man.
Yeah.
So let's still come through.
Amy says who? We can't say Amy. We
probably shouldn't say yet. But I
We
just
don't
say
want to jinx it.
second to, he's not a Beatle, but you could pretty much say second to a Beatle. But then again, there's a lot of people who could claim that spot, but he was definitely right there.
Yeah.
At that time period, they were number 2 to the Beatles.
Oh yeah. I wish they could all be California Girls, but
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And,
All right, brother. Let's get out of here.
All
It's
right,
a
cool.
secret. It is a secret, Blair. All right. Until next time, we'll see you then. It's the Hangout Live. Peace out.
See you.